Hello there, and welcome to the Finding Calm Amidst the Chaos podcast. Eric Evans here, your author at hopeithelps.org, where our blog is posted. If you want to read about this versus listening to it, you can go to hopeithelps.org. Today we're going to talk about everything happening for a reason. Does everything happen for a reason? And we've all heard people say this, when something happens that's bad or just awkward, whatever it may be, everything happens for a reason. But what do they actually mean when they say that? I think the issue with this statement is that it's implied that every action which has ever taken place or ever will take place is predetermined. So there are these two camps, right? There's determinism and there's free will. And the determinists believe that a creator or God has decided that each action that ever takes place is predetermined. It has been predetermined by a creator, and there's a whole plan in place that is just playing out as though it were all by design. And I think whether you're religious or not, you have to admit that that sounds a little silly. It does. I mean, I'm okay with silly in general if it is helpful, but I don't think it helps as much as it could to have a determinist outlook or a predetermined outlook. However, if everything happens for a reason is good enough for you and you like the determinist outlook, then stick with it. Because remember, in our spiritual journey, that's all that really matters. It's different for all of us. Now, it happens for a reason wasn't good enough for me. So I decided to look at it a little bit further. And upon doing so, just taking a slightly different angle on this topic made things a lot better for me. One that's a little less rigid and easier to swallow. Less difficult to swallow, let's put it that way. Maybe the thoughts we have about this particular statement, everything happens for a reason, are just a little too presumptuous. Maybe we're assuming a little too much. So if we break it down, what does it really mean? Because whether you believe that there is a cosmic plan or a divine plan that's in place that's playing out or not, whether you believe it or not, we're not going to know what that plan is ahead of time. So we're going to be dealing with everything that happens, whether it's for a reason or not, in the aftermath of the happening. So if we can take the predetermined aspect out of the equation, let's say everything happens for a reason, but maybe no one knows the reason until after the happening. No one. No divine creator. No one of this earthly realm. No humans. So whatever action is happening will have a reason attached to it, but we can't discover that reason. We can't understand that reason until after the happening because it's not known until after the happening by anyone. In other words, there's something to learn, something to take away from every action in life. It's just not determined ahead of time. We have to figure it out. So, if this sounds more like a philosophy than a belief, so be it. I would have to ask you, what's wrong with that? Beliefs can be troublesome because they can cause rigid outlooks and closed mind. That's the biggest problem with beliefs. The biggest problem with religion in general is that there's an answer for everything. Whatever question you have, there's a specific answer for it. Is it possible in this world, in this cosmic universe of infinite possibilities where all of us human beings walking around are literally made up of particles that is just stardust? Is it really possible that there's a specific answer to everything? Or is it more open than that? Or is there more possibilities than that? I don't really know what the point of a belief is if it's not to have a better life. And if you believe in having a specific answer to everything that works for you, then great. But I think this philosophy is better because by reflecting on all occurrences in our lives and looking for the opportunity to learn from them, instead of saying, well, everything happens for a reason. I don't know what the reason is, but, God's got a plan, so, let's just keep moving forward. We'll see how the plan plays out. Instead of thinking that way, instead of looking at things like that, like you're in the dark, You can be in the know. You can say, well, I'm not sure why I got in this traffic accident today, but I'm going to look for a reason. Maybe this person who hit me is going to end up being my husband or wife. Maybe they'll end up being my best friend. Maybe they'll end up getting me my next job. I mean, you don't know. But if you're looking for that actively, looking for that reason, then you can find in everything, you can find a great result out of everything that happens. But you have to be looking for it. If you just submit to this divine plan, then who knows if you'll actually benefit from some of the actions in your life that could be the most beneficial. So we have to accept all of these possibilities a little more easily with this philosophy. For example, it's pretty hard to think from a deterministic point of view that God wanted those children to die in Newton, Connecticut. It would also be difficult to think of a good reason for making something like that take place. Why would a divine creator want to do that? Horrible tragedies happen all over the world every day. This is not an act of God, folks. This is the act of humans. Flawed humans. We all are. So realizing that, I think, is very powerful. It takes the deterministic viewpoint really off the table. It doesn't mean that God doesn't exist or any fear you have about not believing in the deterministic point of view, but believing that each action in our lives has been planned with a specific reason behind it. It really seems daunting. I mean, how are we supposed to discover that one reason? Most people won't even try. They'll just submit and say, I don't know. God has a plan. I don't know what it is, but we're just going to keep going. I just can't believe that that's the right way to go about it. I have a hard time believing that. I believe the choice is ours. We choose to believe that a creator or God has predetermined every action in the universe for some specific reason, or we choose to see the reason or benefit to each happening in our lives, whether it appears to be good or bad. Or maybe you do the opposite, choose to see the negative aspect of each happening. I know plenty of people like that. Either way, it's our choice. I think we need to make the choice that speaks to our soul. For me, I prefer the philosophy or the reflective path versus the deterministic one. So to answer the question, does everything happen for a reason? Yes. Everything does happen for a reason. But it's up to us to find the reason. Everything in our lives, everything, is either going to be a grievance or a miracle, and the choice is ours. However, making that choice isn't as simple as deciding right in this moment. Of course, in this moment you'd say, oh yeah, everything's a miracle. The fact that we're alive, the fact that this planet has life on it. When 99.6% of the universe is dark matter, we don't even know what it is, but certainly not life. You could see easily that everything is a miracle. But it's not that simple. We have to make this choice over and over all day long. In every single moment, we have to choose to accept the miracles of life. This path requires awareness. And awareness requires practice, in my opinion, if you have a busy life. If you're living the American life, the Western life as they call it, then you're going to need to have some sort of practice. So this is why I choose to meditate on a regular basis, every day, multiple times, and try to practice forms of higher consciousness, present moment awareness, doing a lot of reading in the spiritual realm. It seems so obvious when in the moment reading this post, but when there are 10 things to do all at once, and you're late for all of them, things can change. It can be more difficult to choose miracle versus grievance. But those miracles can turn into grievances very, very quickly if you don't have that awareness. So think about a practice. There's a post on hopeithelps.org about creating a meditation practice. It's also part of the 10 Steps of Bliss. I put my meditation practice right there on the home page. So if you don't have one, you can use that as a template to create your own. Either way, we have to center ourselves first, and then live the answers. Happy meditating. I really hope this helps. Namaste.